What is up, guys? It's your boy Explosive Cactus, and today we are going to be showcasing some unbelievably powerful seasonal artifact perks that were just introduced into Destiny 2 within Season of the Wish. Guys, these are going to absolutely define the PvE meta for the entirety of this season, which, remember, is a lot longer than usual, now going all the way to the new delayed release date of June 4th for the Final Shape expansion. Now, why the heck am I freaking out over these? Why do I think they're so powerful? Well, there's 3 specific artifact perks that we're going over in this video, and super importantly, right off the bat, guys, all 3 of these are super easy to slot into almost every build in the game. Like, you can just, with a few changes, take any element of build and incorporate this absurd new power level thanks to these artifact perks, because these artifact perks enable each other. They have synergies with each other, and we will be talking about how you can build further into them and take the power level from absurd to just plain disgusting. But again, you can really use these in almost every build out there. Now, the first artifact perk here that we're going to talk about is available in column 2, and it is Kindling Trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply Scorch to unscorched combatants. So that is already nuts. So as long as you're Radiant, every enemy you're shooting gets Scorch stacks, and they're going to now tick with significantly more damage. You can, remember, build into Scorch. We're going to talk about that later, but importantly, if they're already scorching, you're not going to be able to apply more, hence the unscorched combatants. So don't think this is going to add a ton of extra damage to something like a boss. Rather, it's just one application of Scorch and potentially another one if that runs out, but other than that, that's about it. Moving on from there, guys, the second artifact perk in this synergy here is Flint Striker in column 3. Now this says rapid solar weapon precision hits and rapid solar weapon final blows grant radiant. Okay, now hold on just a second. Before, we needed to become radiant to apply Scorch. Now this is just letting us become radiant. Now, the final piece of the puzzle all the way in column 5 is going to be, guys, Rays of Precision. While radiant, solar precision final blows cause combatants to ignite. So, just by selecting these 3 artifact perks and simply using a solar weapon, that is the only requirement, a solar weapon in your build, you can simply get rapid precision hits or rapid final blows and become radiant. And you can see that right here. I get a quick triple kill and I have 10 seconds of radiant. That already is absurd. Radiant is going to provide a big degree of a weapon damage boost. Then you take your weapon that's going to be doing more damage thanks to radiant. Oh, and now it's going to apply Scorch to every single enemy you're shooting as well for even more damage. Oh, and when you kill those enemies with your boosted in damage scorching weapon, they're now going to explode thanks to an ignition. And that is just crazy. That is a huge amount of benefits for simply putting on a solar weapon and pretty much just playing normally. But of course, we're going to talk about the ways you can take that chain of events and enhance them greatly. The first way is actually just by using an exotic primary solar weapon, something like the Vex Mythic class that you're seeing right here. But it doesn't have to be. It can be something much easier to acquire, like the Sunshot exotic hand cannon. Now that's because exotic primaries are going to deal 40% more damage to red bar enemies. Hence, getting those rapid final blows just became 40% easier, right? So that is absolutely something that's going to help you trigger that radiant easier. And of course, that 40% bonus damage is going to look even more impressive when they're scorching and when you're radiant. Now, aside from that, guys, again, we can build into the constant scorch stacks that you're applying to pretty much every enemy you shoot. And one of the easiest ways to do so is just by using a Solar Titan. Because guys, if you have the Sol Invictus aspect, defeating scorched targets will spawn sunspots, which provide healing when you stand in them. And you'll see that happen a ton in the background gameplay because every darn enemy I'm shooting is becoming scorched. So you just have a massive sunspot generator right here with these artifact perks. And heck, throw on something cheeky like the Phoenix Cradle exotic legs so that your teammates can use those sunspots as well and they last longer. That's crazy. But it's not just the Titan. Every class can take advantage of this thanks to solar fragments. You have Ember of Ashes, where you apply more scorched stacks to targets. You have Ember of Searing, where defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates fire sprites, which are going to replenish your grenade energy. You also have Ember of Singeing, where you get class ability energy when you scorch targets. But moving away from the Scorch aspect, we can also lean into the becoming Radiant aspect, so we don't have to go and get multi-kills or rapid precision kills to become Radiant and start the chain. We can start that chain much easier. And one of the best examples is Ember of Torches, where if you hit an enemy with your melee, you and nearby allies become radiant. So if you're using something like bonk hammers on the Titan, yes, they were nerfed, but you still get your entire melee back 1.4 seconds after collecting it on the ground. So you can just bonk enemies every 5 seconds or so to have 100% radiant uptime and be scorching and igniting everyone you come across. It's insane. Or switch to the Hunter. You don't even need Ember of Torches, just put on the lightweight knife, where if you get a precision hit, you don't even need a kill, you become radiant for a short duration. That by itself will start off this chain incredibly easily. Now, keep in mind, guys, it's not just about activating Radiant, it's about having it up constantly. So you have things like Ember of Solace, which is going to increase the duration of Radiance. As you can see right here, instead of normally getting 10 seconds of Radiance from your artifact perk, you now get 15 seconds, an extra 50%. That's actually really good. You also even have Ember of Empyrean, where Solar Weapon or Ability Final Blows will extend the duration of Restoration and Radiant. So as you can see right here, once you get Radiant, every single Final Blow gives you an extra around 3 seconds to your timer. And as you can imagine, when you're using an exotic weapon that's scorching and causing ignitions, like, you are constantly extending that timer. If you're in a high enemy density area, Ember of Empyrean will mean that you just get it once and you will have Radiant for the entire encounter. It's actually pretty good for this combo. But additionally, there are some exotic armor pieces that grant Radiant, and probably the most disgusting is the Rain of Fire. This says any kill with a fusion rifle or linear fusion rifle will make you Radiant. So no getting multiple kills, multiple headshots, you kill one single guy, and as you can see, boom, you're Radiant. So we talked about the Vex Mythic class before, but with the Rain of Fire, it is completely disgusting. And that's what you've seen a lot in the background gameplay. I'm using the brand new Strand fusion rifle, the first rapid fire frame fusion rifle that can get controlled burst. This thing is going to be insane for just a great PvP weapon overall, but that will trigger Radiant. Even though it's not solar, I can just get a kill with that, become Radiant, and switch to my solar weapon and get all of those synergies. Hey, I now put on the Cataclysmic as my solar linear fusion rifle, and I have an entire build where every single weapon will, upon a final kill, trigger, get me Radiant, and then I'm popping off with Scorch and Ignitions. And I mean, guys, if you really want, you could even build into ignitions. You have fragments that are going to improve the blast radius of your ignitions. You have fragments that will give you grenade energy back for killing enemies with ignitions. You have fragments that now make your ignitions also spread scorch to enemies, which is going to cause more ignitions, and synergize with other parts of your build. Maybe you're building into the Scorch aspect like I talked about earlier. You can really go insane. The only thing holding you back is that you only have so many fragment slots. Frankly, like there's so many synergies with these 3 artifact perks. You want to build into Radiant, you want to build into Scorch, you want to build into Ignitions. You can't build into all 3, fully, right? But again, this is talking about how you can make this already insane combo even better. You can build into it. But I really want to kind of finish off here with the fact that you can be using a Strand Titan. Banner of War Titan is still cracked. And if you're using that, why wouldn't you put on solar weapons? Like, that's what makes these artifact perks so darn powerful. There is no reason to not just use solar weapons if you're using an alternate build. You're running Void, you're running Strand, Stasis, whatever. Your primary, just make it solar. Make it a solar, it doesn't even have to be an exotic. Something like the Callus mini tool, right? Like that SMG, that thing's cracked. Just use that. And then you have these 3 artifact perks. You get a few rapid precision hits because someone's up in your face and suddenly you're radiant, and then you're just absolutely chaining off. Like the benefits you get for just having these perks selected and having a solar weapon means that, again, you really have to have a incredibly strong argument to use anything other than solar weapons this entire season, just because of how many free benefits they grant you. Like, that is really, I think, the most crazy and impressive and powerful part about these artifact perks, that they just enable themselves on any build. And so, guys, that is going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.